All right, we are here for our 11th episode of Ask Wholesale, and we have special guests.
Mitzi, Dyane.
That's right, and we have three awesome questions that we're going to answer on this episode. One of them was what, Juan?
We're gonna talk about how to increase your fees. How do you increase your fees?
That's right, and
Where do you find bird dogs and how do you compensate them?
that's right, and then the last question we went over was where do you put your deals? Where do you get attraction for your deals, sell your deals, and get great exposure for them? So keep watching.
Oh, and you're also gonna find out the educators that influenced our young, what's the word I'm looking for, Marco?
Impressionable minds. There you go, impressionable lives. That's right. So you got to stick to the end for that fun question. So we'll see you on this episode of Ask Wholesale. Okay, we are at episode 11 of our Ask Wholesale show, and we have a featured special guest with us, Mitzi Dyane.
Hi, guys.
Yeah, she's a killer wholesaler here in San Antonio in the local market, but she also does deals all over the place in all kinds of different markets. So we're very happy and excited to have you.
Thank you.
Can you believe we're at episode 11 already?
I can believe it.
That's crazy. Like double digits.
Double digits.
I know I said that in the last one, but I'm still pretty blown away by it.
He's trying to get into all of them. He wants to be the special guest, the speaker, and the third person.
Should say Ask Wholesale starring Juan Bustos.
That's right.
Guest starring everybody else.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
That's why we gotta switch our people out, because these guys, their heads get way too big.
I don't know, man. People don't get tired of seeing me.
Yeah, that's true.
Juan's talk show.
Juan's talk show.
Okay, so we're gonna get straight into it. We have our first question from Ruben. And his question is, where do you place your deals? So either you want to jump into that?
You want to go first, Mitzi, since you're our guest?
Sure. So I'm assuming the question is asking, like, where do we go to sell our deals that we have?
Yeah, where do we market the deals? Where do you get exposure?
So I do it on Craigslist and Facebook, and I really make it known that it's a contract for sale, because as a wholesaler, we do not sell houses. Every once in a while, I'll actually buy the house, and I will be the owner. But most of the time, it's an assignment, and we just have an interest to purchase the property. So
And that's important because
selling.
there's been a law change here in Texas recently, where there's a stipulation between you can't broker houses, but you can advertise your contract. So you got to make sure you're advertising your contract rather than the property itself.
Yeah, they've been really cracking down on wholesalers and how they're coming about, how they're going about selling the interest in the property, because they're just, you know what? I really think it's coming from a lot of brokers that are really upset about wholesalers making these large fees, where they're only making 3%, 6%. You know,
It's like Uber in the taxi industry.
Yeah, exactly. Taxi's pretty mad at Uber, and Uber's just like, "Hey, man, I'm just trying to make money. Yeah. I don't know why you're mad at me.
I'm just trying to get people around, man. I don't know."
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm going to be changing some of that, because I've been talking to like 3 lawyers, and what's interesting is you'll get 3 different answers.
Sure.
If you talk to 3 different lawyers about how to do things. So I'm going to be changing that a little bit more, where I won't be doing it as much on Facebook. And if it's on Facebook, it'll be very just, hey, we got a contract for sale in this area. Please let me know if you're interested.
More general.
Yeah, very more general. And so that is how I'm going to be changing. And then I have a really large buyers list. I get about 3 to 5 cash buyers a day to add on to it, so it just continues to grow. So I usually have my deals sold even before I put them on Facebook, but it's just another way to keep on continuing to grow my cash buyers list. But Craigslist, Facebook, reaching out to the buyers I already have, and the ones that continue to come in through my website is pretty much.
So the fundamental ones.
Yes.
You know, that's all. If you got a good deal, it doesn't matter where you put it, it's gonna move.
You could put that on the flea market of San Antonio, the Pulga of San Antonio, and it'll move. I get that. Sometimes I'll post it on Facebook. I'll post a deal on Facebook, and I get people from from the Pulga of San Antonio just
Oh gosh.
messaging me, say, and what really bothers me is you put the price point, and then the first question is always, hey, how much is this? I don't know, what does the price say?
Hey man, that's
So,
negotiating
I get that a lot.
negotiating 101, and pretend like you didn't see a price.
Yeah.
Or any of the ad.
Well, I've done it before where I'll add an extra $3,000 to what I posted as the price, and they'll be like, but your ad says 65. Then?
Oh, you're
So you
prepared.
did know. So you did know the entire time.
So where do we place our deals? What do we do to get exposure when we get contracts?
So we typically use MailChimp, the email blast software. So that's the first thing we do is we just blast it in an email using MailChimp. It's a pretty great source. And then we'll use Facebook. We'll use Craigslist as well. We'll go down the MailChimp master investor list and we'll just start calling and texting people. One that we recently started using that I started putting a little bit more focus on is connectedinvestors.com. So that's like a Facebook for investors, literally. Like you can add people, you can send friend requests, you can message people about certain deals, you can post your listings and it'll tell you who are you the realtor, are you the contract holder, are you the owner, who are you that you're posting it. And you get a lot of views, and I've gotten some interest on some of the properties that we've had recently on there. So and then whoever reaches out to me about a certain property, I'll just add them to our buyers list. So that way when we do the email blast, when we do the primary email blast, they'll get it right away. So that's where we've been focusing on a lot, is social media and email.
What I would highlight and bring distinction to in what you said is the fact that after we do the email blast, calling and texting each person on our list, what you don't ever want to do is be kind of resting or being almost lazy in the sense that you're putting it on Facebook and you're putting it, you do your email blast and then you're waiting for people to come to you. You need to always be taking the action to go find the people. So calling down each and every single person, texting each and every single person on your list is how you're going to generate interest, not only for that deal, but then you'll get an update on each person so that you can prepare to line up the next person with the next deal. So always be proactive, don't be reactive.
Yes.
Not only that, but a lot of the time when I first started doing this and I started calling through the list on the MailChimp list, at first a lot of the buyers that I was calling were, no, I didn't see that email, resend it. You know for a fact that they saw it, right? They got it because they're on your list. You know they got it. So they're not seeing it because they're just kind of ignoring it, right? They're like, another email blast, another email blast. But if you make it a point to actually call each and every one of them and send a text message to each and every one of them and say, hey, I sent you an email, did you get it? Hey, I sent you an email, did you get it? They'll start paying more and more attention to your emails because they know that you're actively getting these deals and you're actively trying to get these deals sold. It's not just some target junk mail email blast. So they'll start paying attention to the emails. I've noticed that because on MailChimp you can track the clicks and who opens the emails and all that. I've noticed that since we started doing that, since we started calling them one by one, it's increased the number of people that open it and look at it and click around and look at the comps and the video links and all that stuff that we have on the emails. They'll that number has gone from 7 in a 24-hour period to 25 in a 24-hour period, and then 30 and 40. So if you start doing that, people will start paying more attention to that. So
that's really important. Is I do that too. Is making sure I have someone calling and texting the buyers whenever we get a deal in. And I forgot myhousedeals.com.
Oh yeah.
Is also
myhousedeals.com. They call me every once in a while. Hey, is this one still available? No, I think that one's sold. So we do that one too. I think Ed's in charge of that one. So.
All right, so now let's go to the second question, which I like this one. All right, this question is, how can I increase my fees on my wholesale deals? He likes to think he's Mr. Negotiator.
I
so
love
that's why
how he looks at
him
me.
right away.
He knows the right place to look too. He said, "Well, let's just ask
Like
the best
I said, I gotta be
negotiator out there."
careful on who I bring on these videos. I mean, these heads are getting bigger and bigger over here.
So, yeah, I'll take lead on that one. Why not? The best way to increase your fees is to just your negotiation tactics. Pick up some books about negotiating, and I'm reading one right now. Even though, all jokes aside, I think I'm a pretty decent negotiator. I'm not the best in the world, but I'd like to think that I'm pretty decent. even though I know that I can negotiate pretty decent fees, I'm still reading negotiation books because it's an art. It's not just something that happens. You have to practice it. You can practice it. So the harder you increase, the more you increase your negotiation tactics, the bigger fees you're gonna get. And you're gonna be able to knock people down on price. I mean, one of the main things I do is I hit them 3 times in the first conversation on their price. That's the first thing, and Marco taught me that one. Hitting them 3 times on their price, and I know it works because Marco's not the only one who said it. Where I've read other negotiation books.
I'm pretty sure I was the one.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you're the one who invented the technique.
There you go. I'll take that.
They just kind of borrowed it.
That's right.
So I mean, I've read it. I've really read it in other places where, hey, hit them more than once on the price, the first conversation, and most of the time. And even I've listened to one of Aaron's conversation where he knocked somebody down from 85 to 65 in one conversation by hitting them 3 times on the price. He knocked them down 20 grand, and it's just, we needed it like at, I think 70. So by the end of the first conversation, we were already $5,000 extra. So that's how you increase the fees, is just negotiation tactics, techniques, challenging everything that they want. Hey, you want a quick closing? Cool. Get me a lower price. Hey, you want no headaches, no repairs? Cool. Get me a lower price. Everything that they want. Cool, lower price. Cool, lower price.
And always working on improving your negotiation skills is critical and very important, because you need to always be improving and getting better. I mean, Juan over here, like he was saying, he was reading this negotiation book, and gave him the idea to go negotiation. Man, that guy looked like Jeff Bezos right behind us over here. I'm like, world's richest man.
I know, right? What's he doing here? Hey, call that guy in here, right?
Yeah, show me some negotiation techniques. But anyway, he was reading this book, and it gave him the idea to negotiate with HEB. And so he went to HEB, and he was negotiating their beer price to a lower price. So hey, you always be practicing, always be improving.
Yeah, it worked. I mean, it wasn't a big discount. I think it was like $2, $2 or $3 or something.
Hey, that's
like
a discount, man.
It was like 11:45 at night. I went to HEB. It was like one cash register.
Which is our grocery store, by the way. If you're not.
If you're not from Texas, HEB is. Well, I mean, it's HEB. Yeah. So,
but they don't negotiate.
Yeah, they typically don't negotiate. But imagine it's like a Walmart of Texas. But Walmart is a Walmart of Texas. Anyways, so I'm standing in line, and the total comes out to like $20, and I'm like, hey, so what's the best deal you can give me on that? And she's like, what do you mean? I was like, can you give me a discount? She's like, no. I was like, I know you have an employee discount. Just apply it. Well, I have to ask my manager. I was like, well, luckily he's standing right over there. So we call him over. He's like, whatever. The line's getting longer. It's 11:45, 15 minutes before they close. And he's like, whatever. Just give him a discount. It's like a 10% employee discount. I got like $2-3 discount. It was pretty great. And I was like, cool. And I went home. I mean, it's not a big discount, but hey, I just didn't pay full price, right?
Then you saw the candy bar. You're like, I want this for free.
Yeah.
I want this soda.
I want this for free.
Price.
I want this for free for making me wait and making me look like a jerk in front of these guys.
There you go.
Should
awesome.
just given it to me right away. So
what book was that?
The 10 Commandments of Negotiation by Stefan. I can't pronounce his last name. Arano. I get emails from him all the time, but it's a really, really good book. It's pretty good, so.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'd like to add to that. So it's also increasing your buyers and the kind of buyers you have, because there's more than just rehabbers and landlords. There's people who are the end buyer, the retail buyer, the ones who want to live in that house and want to keep it. They don't want to resell it, and they don't mind fixing it up and making it their own. I was one of those people, so I know how that is. I bought a house thinking I got a great deal, and pretty much I just bought it for the amount of less than what the repairs were that I had to. So it was like I bought a retail house, and I thought I did great. But I'm not. Did that make sense?
Sure.
What I said? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's increasing the kinds of buyers you have, because sometimes you have a deal that just doesn't quite fit the wholesale formula. So, or even if it does, if you have like the other day, there was a bidding war, and I had these 2 people come in that just want to keep the house for themselves. So they went $10,500 over my asking price so that they could have the house, and that didn't fit a normal
That's
rehabber.
That is awesome.
Amount. So yeah. So And then that happened on a house 2 days before that too. They went up another 11,000 to get the house, and it was a.
What are we
buyer.
doing wrong to get people to do that for us?
And here I thought I was a good negotiator. Wow, I'm just gonna go sit in the corner now.
But yeah, both of them ended up being end buyers. That their boyfriend happened to also be a contractor, so they didn't have to worry about.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Plus, just having more buyers just gives you more flexibility, more power in your contracts. You're not desperate trying to move it to this one person that's very, particular and is going to hammer you on price or whatever. The more buyers you have, the more flexibility you have. Plus, the different types of deals you can do. If you come across a commercial or small multifamily or whatever, instead of saying, "Hey, I don't have anyone for that," if you have a good buyers list, you can capitalize on every lead that comes in. So cool. I like that one too. All right, so now we are on question number 3, and the third question is, how do you go about finding, using, and compensating bird dogs? And I'll take the lead on this one, and then y'all can jump in wherever you want. With bird dogs, so bird dogs are typically people that aren't necessarily working for you in the sense of bringing the contract or bringing the buyer, those type of things. They're usually people that are giving you a little bit of a filtered lead. Maybe not necessarily to a contract, but they've done some homework on a lead of some sort. Either they've done some driving for dollars, maybe a little bit of skip tracing where they've gotten a phone number, maybe they've had some initial conversation. And typically bird dogs are people that don't have all the knowledge of how to put a deal together, but they're willing to put in the time and effort to generate some leads, and then they're building a relationship with you where you can then take their lead and take the work that they've done to bring it all the way to a successful closing and then create a win-win scenario where everyone gets paid. For us, when we work with bird dogs, we write them directly into our assignment so that they just have a payout on that. It's a predetermined price point determined on what we've agreed upon, what type of lead they're giving us, how much work they've done. It could be 500, 1,000. It could be a percentage of the deal itself. But what I would say is before you develop your relationship, have a very specific conversation with your bird dog so you know exactly what they're doing and they know what's exactly expected of them. And try and give them direction, because the problem with a lot of those type of people is they don't have all the information. They're dealing in a lot of theory, and there's a lot of holes in how in their mind how a deal works. So they want to go off and do a little bit of everything. They're going to try this, they're going to try that. What you can do is by getting the most effectiveness out of them is say, all I want you to do is focus strictly on driving for dollars, and I want you to focus on this zip code, and I want you to make sure you fill out in this Excel these 6 critical pieces of information. Or if you're going to do skip searching, we want you to do it in this manner or whatever. But give very specific instructions so you can kind of get the most out of them. So that's kind of my feedback on bird dogs.
So how do I go about finding, using, compensating bird dogs? Interesting, but my sellers usually become bird dogs.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Awesome.
my sellers know that I'm a wholesaler. They know what I'm doing the whole time. And so after it gets done, they're like, what do I do to help you out? Is there anything I can do to help you out in doing this? And I'm like, yeah. And I'll mention the bird dog position. And one of them was a sheriff, and he actually has to vacate houses that are full of squatters.
Oh, okay.
And so he just sends me the information of that house, and it's like, hey, I just had to get rid of some more
That's
squatters.
awesome.
He'll send me the tax information, the person's name and number, and the
Dang.
address. He's an amazing bird dog. And it's also, I do it on the assignment contract. I add it on there. So they're paid at title after closing. And with him, I just tell him, do your territory, just send me what you have. And then garbage men, mailmen. Like today, there was a mailman. He was new, and he was at the office that I'm remodeling right now. And he was like, "Yeah, there's so many vacant houses around here," because he thought my office was vacant.
Sure.
And I was like, "No, it's not." And he goes, "Yeah, there's so many vacants. I don't know which ones are not, and which ones are for sure." And he's like, "We have a list of them at the post office." I was like, "Really?" So here's my card.
Your ears perked up.
Yeah, and so he's already sent me 3 houses since
All right.
since about an hour ago, and And so I usually try to find ones that are already doing stuff with houses and know about them. Like Garbage Men will know too. The SAWS guy, the San Antonio
Yeah.
Water System, they'll know. CPS, they'll know. Which is what is it? Calaveras Power System. It's a electric company here in San Antonio. You find these individuals and you let them know, hey, this is what's going on, or even somebody in the mortgage department that knows foreclosures, anything like that. I like to take advantage of those kind of bird dogs.
Those are awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, when a little while back when I was working with another company, one of the guys on my team, we were doing a ton of bandit signs at the time, and he got in contact with one of the city like electrical guys. I don't know if they were with CPS, but they had one of those cranes where they would like stand in it and they would like go up to reach, power lines and, tall structures or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was paying this guy to put his bandit signs like way the hell up there on
That's
these
awesome.
so that they can never be torn down, those kind of things. And the guy that was using the crane or whatever, he loved it. He was like, hell yeah, how many signs you got? He was excited to do it. So yeah, always be on the lookout. You never know who you're gonna run into and how y'all can create value for each other.
See, I feel like bandit signs that high up would be almost ineffective. I mean, I don't know how effective those were. I mean, if they're that high up, somebody's gonna have to like kind of.
Hey, but they're gonna last the test of time. They're gonna be there forever.
Yeah.
Not too high, just kind of high.
Yeah,
Enough to where
so,
people
I mean,
can't reach them.
Oh, okay. I was like, so Shaq will definitely know that he buys houses.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I like to use, when it comes to bird dogs, I like to use mailmen and contractors. My
contractors.
mom's boyfriend is a contractor, and he's constantly, hey, we went to go do a bid on a house. This guy might sell it. Hey, we went to go do a bid on a house. This guy might sell it. Hey, I was driving by to a bid and I saw like 3 vacant properties, and they're always sending me different properties, and I'm trying to, always writing them down, trying to reach out to him and whatnot, and it helps that he knows everybody in San Antonio too. Apparently, this guy knows everybody, so he's like Aaron Senior. So
Oh, yeah?
yeah, so he knows a lot of people. So mailmen, contractors. And the way I compensate them, I just tell them I do anywhere between, I tell them it really depends on the deal. I don't ever actually give them a number, but specifically I like to stick to around the $250 if they don't do a lot of work. If they give me like a nice strong lead where it's like, hey, here's the phone number, here's the address, the seller's actually motivated to sell, they want to talk to somebody about selling, to me that's a strong lead, that's a hot lead, so I'm willing to pay them up. I'm willing to pay them up to $500, $750, $1,000, depending on how strong the lead is, and depending on how much work they did. If they give me a really, really good one, that's how.
It's
that's
like
how I'll
Julian.
compensate 'em.
Julian gets you some like every time he has a lead, it's almost a deal, and you pay him $1,000, right?
Yeah, we pay him about $1,000. Yeah, we pay him about $1,000 if it turns into a deal.
I
Sometimes
think his he's partners with somebody in code compliance, so they see code compliance potential houses, and then they talk to the owners, and then when the owner's like, yeah, I would like to sell, then he sends it to us, and then we pay him, so it's like a win-win.
there's one that he sent us where the seller supposedly sold it for more than what we offered him, and that was like 6 or 7 months ago that he sold it. And I drove by the other day and it was still like almost a tear down. I was like, I thought he sold it to somebody who was gonna fix it. So I called him up and he's like, yeah, I sold it, but I haven't gotten the money for it yet and I haven't signed it over. I was like, so you haven't sold it? I was like, that you keep saying you sold it. I don't think you know what that means. Like,
Yeah.
like so.
If Juan can't get the contract, he takes it personal. He drives by every single person that said no. He's checking on everybody.
I send the sellers candies and flowers and a mixtape with that song, "Baby Come Back." That
There you
song
go.
right there.
With the boombox, you hold
Yeah,
the
there
boombox
you go,
up.
exactly.
There you go.
So, but yeah, I take it. I get upset if I don't get a contract. It's like a competition thing for me with myself. So.
All right. Well, to raise your spirits, let's go into our fun question then. Who was your favorite teacher growing up and why? So who wants to go first?
You can go first.
Mine was my science teacher. I was actually pre-med major. Not sure if anybody knows that. I was about to have my degree. It was 1 semester away. I was going to go to medical school, and then I changed it to finance. But science fascinates me.
Oh, yeah?
I love science. And my teacher was just
All science or particular science?
biology, how the body works, and I like I like metaphysical kind of stuff too, and I just like knowing how things work. So yeah, I guess almost all science. And then, but this teacher was just as passionate as I was about science. So she brought that to the classroom, and I loved it.
What grade was this?
8th grade.
8th grade. That's awesome. So she planted the seed. That was it when it happened, huh?
Well, I think I was always.
I guess that's true. If
but
you like something, that's always part of you.
Yeah.
She just cultivated it a little bit.
Yeah. Those are the best ones. Those are the ones, the teachers that spark that fire in you are the ones that probably leave the biggest mark on you. So.
And her name was Miss Allen. I don't think she even knew that she was my favorite teacher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Well, now you got to do a shout out to her.
Yeah.
What was her
Say
name?
hey.
Miss Allen from
Allen.
Canton, Texas.
There you go.
Good job, Miss Allen. Good job.
I'll say for me really quick, I had a lot of good teachers, but one that was the most memorable for me was my kindergarten teacher. I think her name was like Miss Alfonso. That was a long time ago. But I remember one time, and this is me, my young brain, that she made it rain, and I just thought, oh my God, this lady has magical powers.
Oh, it was like she just brought a bunch of
Well,
ones
this is what
she
happened.
made it
There was
rain
a
money, or
there was a story.
Cute.
Okay, so one of the things we did as a kid was we were pretend we were going through the jungle, and with each like action or with each like part of the story, we had to do an action. So, like if we were running through the jungle, she would like make us like hit our thighs and act like we were running, and then we were like climbing up the tree. We all had to do this, and we're in kindergarten, right? So they're trying to get the kids to be active and whatever. We're like looking at the trees, and then we might see a lion. She makes the whole class do these things. So we go on this like adventure that she kind of leads us through, and she said by the end of this like adventure, it's gonna rain outside. Which it probably was just like really fucking cloudy outside, and like it was already kind of drizzling and stuff. But in my like 5-year-old brain, I'm like, oh shit, okay, let's see if it's gonna rain. So we did it, and then we did the thing, and then sure enough, at the end, it rained, and I was like, oh my God, this teacher. Who is this teacher?
Marco,
She's
that was
got
the sprinkler
magical
system,
powers.
Marco.
Yeah, I know,
That was the
right?
sprinkler
It was somebody
system,
with a
man.
hose
Yeah.
going up there. But I always remember that. That was pretty awesome when I was young.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Like that leaves an impression on you, especially as a kid.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, this is what's gonna happen. I guess as you're
So
older,
then when
you
I would
start
go
thinking,
home, I'm like over here. I'm like, okay, it's gonna rain soon, right?
Yeah.
It's like a rain dance.
Yeah, exactly. That was my rain dance.
In kindergarten, I had a little bit of a speech problem, so I couldn't say certain things. So all I know, my kindergarten teacher's name was Miss Frifra.
Frifra?
That's what I remember.
That's
I don't
awesome.
even remember what her real name was, but I remember her name was Miss Frifra.
Miss Frifra.
That's awesome. I love
Miss
that.
Frifra. That's funny.
Yeah.
Man, my favorite teacher, it's hard to say because a lot of teachers didn't like me in high school or in school.
I can see why.
Well, yeah, you see, here's the thing. I've always been really rebellious. I've always been, and I think one of the things that they didn't like the most about it was that I'm really good at making sense, like just being logical about the way I explain myself. Mm-hmm. And
In your head, you think that.
yeah.
I'm constantly like, what the hell are you saying? None of that makes sense.
Well, like Robin, my girlfriend, she's always like, oh, I hate how you everything you're saying is making sense, but it's not what I want you to say, so it bothers her. But I've always been like that. I've always been really good at making sense, and the teachers were always trying to get me to do things that I didn't feel the need to do. Like I didn't feel the need to do a lot of the schoolwork. I knew what I was doing. I wasn't dumb in high school, so I would always like argue my way out of like doing assignments and homework and all this stuff, and
You would get out of
hated it.
doing homework?
Yeah, are you kidding me? I graduated top 10%. And I never opened a book. I never
If
opened
you
a
can get
book.
a discount on beer and get out of homework, you gotta watch out for this
I
one
know,
guy.
that's what I'm saying. But I do remember I had one teacher who was aware of my she could just see my bullshit. She was just like, this guy, he's just funny, right? Two teachers actually. One of them was named Miss Garza, and she got married, so it's Mrs. Garcia now. And she just always thought, like, she was the only English teacher that thought that I was just a gem All the other English teachers hated me. First of all, my high school sweetheart's mom was an English teacher, so she automatically hated me. And then I had another English teacher who was really ditzy, and I always called her out about it. So she's like, I don't like that guy. I had another English teacher who hated me because I played football. I was a jock. She never gave me a chance. Turns out we probably had a lot more in common than she gave me a chance for. Anyways, this other English teacher is always like, Bustos, man, that guy's a great kid. He's smart. He knows how to use his words. He's articulate. He knows So I guess she was one of my favorite teachers because she pushed me to write better. She pushed me to read more, which helps out now because I read a lot of books now. She pushed me to do a lot of things by always like just telling me like, you're so smart, like don't waste it. Her and Mr. Campos, he was my algebra teacher, but he wasn't my favorite because he wasn't so much that he pushed me, but it's because we got along really well. I always got out of doing work by challenging him to chess, and then the rest of the class, yeah. So I would challenge him to chess, and he would.
That's fun.
Sometimes I would make it interesting and let him think he was winning.
Yeah.
And the rest of the class would just sit around and watch. So we'd all get out of doing algebra. I hate math. I hate algebra with a passion. So I would like, hey, Mr. Campos, what do you say? What do you say? I beat you in chess again today. And he's like, you're not gonna beat me this time, Bustos. I'm like, okay. And I let him start winning a little bit. Then like I'd kind of like lead him into a few traps, and then I'd come back and I'd win, and I'd take the entire 90-minute class because 90-minute blocks.
Strategic.
Yeah,
You're thinking for long periods of time.
Exactly, which also helped now with what we do. You know, I'm always 3 or 4 steps ahead, 5 steps ahead of
Critical thinker.
Exactly.
Not a lot of people are taught to be a critical thinker.
Well, I didn't even realize I was learning to do it at the time.
Yeah.
So those 2 teachers really helped me out. Really helped me. My English teacher, Ms. Garcia, helped me be articulate and helped me express myself. So that way, when I'm doing these negotiations, like I realize that I'm saying a lot of stuff that not a lot of people think to say. And with him, I played chess a lot.
What was his name?
Mr. Campos.
Campos.
And he actually ended up being my college algebra teacher. He
Oh,
went
really?
back to school, got his degree to teach college, and he ended up being. But I failed college algebra because he was like, nah, you got to do your work here, man. He's like, you can't just play, you can't. Yeah, I was like 20, 21 years old at
no
the
more
time.
chess.
He's like, nah, we're not going to play chess here. You got to do your work
And
here.
Juan's like, well, checkers?
I was like, checkers, something? Hey, you want to talk about Family Guy? That was one of his favorite shows. So he was like, nah, you got to do your work here. And I ended up failing college algebra, which is why I don't have my degree in criminal justice, like a full degree in criminal justice yet.
Well,
You know, I'm good at math. If you ever
Really?
want to go back and need some help.
I don't.
Okay.
No, I'm good at math when it comes to percentages and money, but algebra for some reason is just.
When it comes
We
to the
just need
deals,
to
man,
put
he's
that
like,
X as a house.
Yeah.
and
Yes, yes.
like
When it
change
comes to the
around as a
deals, I'm
wholesale
good at
deal.
calculating.
like what's the
mortgages
percent?
and
Who's
all that
getting
stuff.
what? I'll figure that out.
Yeah, I'll figure out real quick when my payday is gonna be like that too.
1 X is your paid.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll
There you
figure
go.
it out.
Yeah, I'll figure that out real quick too. But those were a couple of my favorite teachers. Not so much because, because they taught me outside of the educational system without me realizing that they were teaching me. So I think that's why they had a huge impact on my life.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
great.
So
Well, hey, man.
yeah.
And what was your kindergarten teacher's name? Frifra?
Oh yeah,
Frif-
Miss Frifra.
Frifra, yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Was that her real name, or is that just how you pronounce
That's
it?
the way I
That
pronounce
that's
it
what
because
it
I
is
couldn't
now.
pronounce it, and like for the rest of my life, that's how I remember it
That's
because I
awesome.
could never say her name right. Yeah.
Miss
Well,
Frifro.
I thought this was an awesome episode. I think we went over some really cool stuff. And so, Mitzi, how can people find you, interact with you, that kind of thing? Where can they find you?
My Facebook page, Mitzi Dyane. It's MITZIDYANE. I noticed at the event yesterday, my name was so misspelled.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, what?
Well, we'll get it right on here. We'll get it right.
And you can call me, 210-960-5451. Or you can email me at swiftsellproperties@gmail.com. And it's like Taylor Swift, SWIFT, properties is plural, @gmail.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for gracing us and giving us some great feedback. There's some really good ones. I'm excited about what we're going to cut together here. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks for the
Mitzi.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then y'all can, if you can like, comment, share on this video, definitely put some questions in the comments. Mitzi will go back, Juan will go back, I'll go back. We'll make sure to answer those questions, and we'll also take those questions and answer them on future episodes. So thank you for watching, and give us some good insights on what you're doing. Thank you.
Have a good day.
This is gonna make the negotiation process a heck of a lot easier, guys. Negotiation is extremely important because it's what's gonna separate you from 90% of the real estate community. It's gonna put you in the position to win. Purchase this thing, take a look at it, let me know what you guys think about it, give us some constructive criticism, and yeah, man, as soon as we're done getting to it, you guys are gonna just change your whole world.